cruising in the clouds.
Hi, my name is Mitch Lee. I'm a producer and Ableton Certified Trainer and course developer here at BeatDrop. And in this video, we're going to show you some of the new features of Push 2. The first thing that you're going to notice is the full color screen at the top, viewable from any angle. It's incredibly sharp and it's extremely nice to look at. It gives new life to many of the built-in instruments and effects in Live and makes editing and navigating more user-friendly than the previous Push. But we'll get more into that a little bit later. The button and encoders have been rearranged and have some new additions, and the buttons are more recessed and are easier to see. The pads, they seem softer and they're more responsive. And we are now given even more options to fine-tune the pads and customize them how they react and trigger. Something to note as well is that the first Push was done in partnership with Akai, makers of the MPC and the APC. However, the Push 2 is engineered and designed exclusively by Ableton. A very welcome feature is the new mixing and metering facilities. We can now meter and see actual levels of both individual and multiple tracks. To power these new features of Push 2, Ableton has released Live 9.5. It's a free update and has some really great features. The new peak and RMS metering, analog modeled filters based on some classic synths. They feedback and distort incredibly well. New waveforms and improved coloring for tracks and clips. But the most impressive feature of the new Push 2 is actually powered by an upgrade to Simpler, the Simpler instrument inside of Live. It provides a whole new sampling workflow for us on the Push. When you combine it with the new color display on the Push 2, it creates an environment that is incredibly fun to play and super flexible to manipulate and to edit. To best explain the new sampling workflow, I find it's always best if we actually dig in. So let's see what the new features in Push 2 can do. All right, so let's dig into the Push 2. I'm going to hit the browse button and you're going to notice that the navigation, the browser looks like the browser in Ableton Live. And all I have to do is scroll here and we can go through our instruments. And what's a nice new feature is we can preview our sounds. If I go to operator, let's say, and bass sounds. And I can turn preview off by just touching this button and it won't preview. But it's nice, you can hear your patches, your presets, your samples. But I'm going to load up a sample that I have. I've got, turn preview on. And I'm going to hit load. And what you'll notice is this turns our beautiful screen into a waveform and I see the whole sample in front of me. When you load a sample like this, what happens is it gets loaded into the new Simpler. And you can see that it looks very different than the old one. And the biggest differences are these three new modes. We got classic, one shot, and slicing. And we're going to talk about those in a second. But we're able to zoom in. We've got a bunch of different options up here. And if I hit Simpler, we're given a number of parameters, our global, envelopes, warping, new filter section, LFO, and panning. If I go back to the main, I want to, if I hit play, right now we're in the classic mode, which is like the old Simpler. If I hit play. So classic mode allows me to play multiple pads at once. It's polyphonic, so, but you'll notice it's all pitched. One of the nice things about classic mode as well is I'm able to loop, to have loop turn on and off. But I'm going to take my start marker and I'm going to move it to a part of the track that we're going to try to sample here. So if I can zoom in, you'll see this beautiful screen here. It gives me, and all I got to do is just touch these encoders and you can see the navigation in the window. The screen changes. So I'm going to adjust my end point. It's way back here, so I'm going to zoom out, bring my end way in, zoom back in again, and I just want to get this, let's zoom. I'm going to turn loop on for now. Just adjust my ending. Let's zoom in and try to get this. Just touch the start and you can Let's see, I get nice and tight. Just touch the end, and it shows me my end point. Zoom back out. Okay, well, it's looping for me now, but let's get into what we've all been waiting for, is the ability to warp this. This is new in Ableton Live 9.5, and in Simpler, we're able to time stretch now. So if I turn warping on, I can, if I hit play, and then I hit warp as a 2-bar. I'm going to speed it up here. And you'll notice my tempo, I'm at 120 right now. Let's just see if this is right. So yeah, it's warping. I obviously don't want to work at that tempo, so I'm going to bring this down to 90, 80, I don't know, let's go 90. Still, I can hear some of the, let's turn the warp mode up to Complex Pro. And you can hear now, I can turn my tempo. Works pretty good. Sounds great. In the other warp mode, I was able to hear some artifacts, so I turn it to Complex Pro, it sounds great. So that's a nice feature. I hit back up here and I get to my Simpler. I hit Simpler again, and I'm giving a bunch of options here. And I know that I want to transpose this up, so we can do that. I'm going to transpose this up 3 semitones. In classic mode, it's just great, it loops. In one-shot mode, we can't loop or play, it's monophonic, so we can't play multiple notes. And it's great for like drum hits. But let's show off the slicing. Slicing is incredible, and it gives us everything that we've always wanted in Ableton Live. And right now, because my sensitivity is at 100%, it's showing, it's slicing every single transient that it thinks is there. So if I play these slices now, but let's turn the sensitivity down, and you'll notice the slices go away. And now I have 4. If I zoom right in, you can notice, if I use this nudge button, I can address exactly where the slice is going to be. Let's zoom back out. So what if you want to add a slice? All we have to do is turn pad slicing on, and we're able to add a slice wherever we want it. This is how it works. If I notice there's a hi-hat there on, this is really like one and on the and. So on the and, let's add a slice. This is how it works. So you'll notice there I've got my hi-hat. All right, so let's play this in. I'm going to hit the accent button, and it's going to play all the pads at the same velocity. And I've got fixed length turned on. Got it set to 2 bars. You'll notice it's flashing, telling me it's engaged. And the metronome's on, which I need a little bit of a count in. So here we go. I'm going to hit quantize. And let's hit play. And a new feature on the Push 2 is this convert button. And I can hit convert, and it's asking me to convert to a drum rack. And I'm going to say yes. And now you'll notice it's a drum rack, and it's step sequenced for me. So I could keep step sequencing if I wanted to do that. So that's a nice feature. I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to go back. And now we're back at just the Simpler, because this is what I want to work with. So let's hit the mix button, and let's show off a little bit of the new mixing facilities. I can now adjust individual tracks as well as multiple tracks once I have more tracks. So this is a really nice feature that they've added. Let's show you one more feature in the simpler, which is the filters. And there's a bunch of new filters. There is the OSR, which is modeled after the Oscar synth from Britain. The MS2, which is a Korg modeled filter. I believe it's the MS20. We have an SMP and a PRD. So there's 4 new filters, and they sound really cool when we drive them. So I want to give this sample even a little more saturation. Okay, let's add another sample and show a different way of sampling with Simpler. I'm going to hit Add Track, and I'm going to go to my user files again. I can also use this navigation button here to go to and navigate through my folders. And we're going to go check out Mr. Lou Reed. Many of you know where that's been sampled before very famously. And again, it loads in classic mode. And I'm going to show something that's a really interesting and very unique way of messing with a sample in Simpler. And first off, let's warp this. I'm going to zoom in. Trying to get that right on the one. And let's bring the end all the way in. I just want to get that initial loop. Let's turn looping on. This just helps me find the loop. Okay, let's hit warp and let's turn warping on. And let's go warp as a 2-bar. And let's hear that. So you're hearing lots of artifacts in this warped loop. And that's because we got on beats. I usually find complex or complex pro works better with melodic elements like this. So we've got this looped, and I wanted to show off, if I go to global, there's a glide mode. These glide mode options are really interesting, and what we can do is with these is keep playing the sample and change the pitch, and it doesn't stop the sample playing. So I guess best show this by just playing it for you. Okay, let's try recording this using glide mode. Okay, so now we need to add some drums. I'm going to hit Add Track, and I'm going to go to MIDI track. We want to add some drums. And with 9.5, there's a bunch of new presets and some drum kits that they've given us. And again, it previews. I can turn preview on and off here. It previews the drum kits for us. And I'm going to go to the very end. The selector kit is very interesting. I'm going to hit load. And what the selector kit is, you might be familiar with 128s. Well, the selector kit is exactly that. It's got 128, I'm going to just turn it down a bit. It's got 128 kicks on the kick drum. I can cycle through all of them. And snares. I'm going to change this open hi-hat. An obnoxious open hi-hat. Let's create a beat with this. I'm going to make sure my fixed length is on 4 bars. I don't need a metronome. I want to go in time with the sample, so let's put some drums down. right, so we're getting along in terms of our track and sampling, and there's one more sampling technique that I want to show you. I'm going to hit Add Track, and I'm going to go to my user files, another folder. Again, I can use this to go to in and out of my folders. I'm going to go to my friend Jocelyn Alice, who's doing some big stuff here in Canada, and I'm going to load up a vocal stem that I have of a track that we did together a long time ago. And I'm going to zoom right in to, actually I'm going to zoom out. I'm just going to go to a section of her vocal.
Every time I kneel,
Let's turn it down just a little bit.
every time I kneel, I can feel it.
Go to the device.
Every time I kneel, I can feel it. Every time I kneel, I can feel you.
Just want to get on the
Every time I kneel, I can feel you feel me. Even if you can't come down, you can. Every time I kneel, every time I kneel.
So I'm going to, I found the start and end part of the sample I want to mess with. And I'm going to go to slicing mode. And I'm going to turn sensitivity off. And you'll notice all the slices go away. And I want to show off a playback mode called Through that makes it really fun to jam on. So I want to add my own slices, and we learned that to add slices, we have to have pad slicing on, and then we can tap out when we want the slices to appear. So let me hit play, or let me start this sample, and I'm going to tap out where I want the slices.
Every time I kneel, I can feel you.
Let's try that again.
Every time I kneel, I can feel you feel me. Even if you can't come down, you can keep me high like I'm in the sky, cruising in the clouds.
Okay, so I've got now.
Every time I kneel, I can feel you feel me. Even if you can't come down.
So that's cool, but that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to actually show you this playback feature called Through. And what it does is when I trigger a pad,
High like I'm in the sky, cruising in the clouds.
you'll notice that it keeps playing. I hit that pad,
High like I'm in the sky, even if you can't come down, you can keep.
and if you hit shift play turns off the sample that keeps playing. So I just want to go, I want to add a little bit of some reverb to her here.
Keep me high like I'm in the skies, cruising in the clouds.
So get out of my mix, go back to my device, and let's see what this sounds like, and let's jam on her vocal a little bit and show off this playback through mode.
Every time I kneel, I can feel you feel me. Even if you can't come down, you can keep me high like I'm in the skies, cruising in the clouds, cruising in the clouds. High like I'm in the skies, keep me high like I'm in the skies, keep me high like I'm in the skies, keep me high like I'm in the skies, cruising in the clouds.
So you can see how much fun we can have by just jamming and coming up. We can record those obviously and process them a little bit later, but the playback through mode is really interesting in terms of coming up with something that's really fun to play. If you're a brand new Push user, or if you're looking to go deeper, make sure to check out our 6-week online Push course here at BeatDrop. It's not like a typical online course where you download some videos. We walk with you weekly to give you instruction, lessons, assignments, and accountability so that you can get the most out of Push and Ableton Live. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our website for all the BeatDrop courses and certificates.